Let's just start. Turn it up. It's the best thing you're going to hear all week about Nebraska football is this music.
This music right here?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully there'll be some good news on the recruiting side. Especially Saturday with the Armed Force All-Star game, high school.
Yeah.
I hope we get a big-time couple commits that's supposed to commit to us during the game, but you never know with these kids today.
Yeah, I would assume when you were going to school, when you committed, did you ever commit and decommit or think about decommitting?
No. I have. I just took all my trips and then decided on signing day. Never once said I was going to any school until I actually committed to sign my scholarship. You know that's the thing. That's the thing about it. You know, I don't care for all these kids who are committing early because 90% of the time, how many of them change? Because
it's so frequent.
You know, I'm a firm believer, and I'll be in favor of a rule that once a kid commit to a school, they can sign their papers right then and there. Ooh. Instead of waiting until signing day in February. I can understand if you're graduating in December and you commit, then you can sign it because you can go to college in January. But having a kid commit in June and then have to wait all the way to February, that's too much pressure on them because now you can all these coaches call them and then their minds change.
Especially these kids now. These kids now are all over the board.
There's no loyalty when it comes to recruiting anymore. You ask these coaches, well, why do you not recruit this kid over this kid? Or why don't you recruit them both? Well, it's getting to the point now to where you oversign knowing that you're probably going to lose half of the class anyway.
Yeah.
That's what LSU did for all those years. They oversigned knowing they're going, hey, we got a junior here. You're not producing much right now, so we're going to go ahead and just not renew your scholarship. Because that's what people don't think. But people don't realize it, and maybe the rules changed since last year. But scholarships are year to year, even though they're guaranteed up to 4 to 5 years. But they have to be renewed every year.
I had no idea.
Yeah, because someone signs a scholarship to go play at the University of Nebraska, they think, I got 4 or 5 years. No, if you're not performing on the field in the classroom, they don't have to renew your scholarship. So they're actually year to year scholarship. They're renewable scholarships.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. I thought once you got committed for your 4 years. Now, when you went, it was just a 4-year deal, right?
No, it's 4 or 5.
But you didn't have to do the year-to-year thing.
Well, we don't do it. It's the head coach and athletic director have to say, okay, are we going to renew this kid's scholarship? Yes. So they sign off the paper.
So if a kid performs really bad or whatever reason, grades or something, they can actually turn that kid down the
yeah, they can say, I think it's time for you to leave, that we're not going to renew your scholarship.
I had no idea.
Well, that's supposed LSU is a perfect example of that. They always oversign, and you always see them a kid that wasn't part of their top 20 or top 4 3 deep. Always, it's time for you to move on because they didn't renew a scholarship. So it's common practice,
which makes sense. I mean, these kids are so wishy-washy now, and they want to leave early and they want to start. They're going to bail on a team, so it only seems right that the college would have the same rights as the player. Right.
To me, it goes back to being loyal.
Yeah, there's no loyalty now.
And there's no loyalty. When I was in school, it's very rare that you saw a player transfer. I think we had maybe that I can remember maybe 5 players out of my class transfer, and that's because they weren't going to play. It wasn't because they thought they were better than what they realized they wanted to play, and they weren't going to play with the people that they were playing behind.
Which is probably I can understand that.
I can remember 2 names offhand. Ben Roots, quarterback from Oklahoma, came in as a freshman. I started playing. He realized that he wasn't going to play, so he transferred. Right, it was the right move for him. He transferred to Kansas and actually played down in Kansas. Then you had Marvin Sims, who was an all big time running back out of Minnesota. Of course, we got Calvin Jones here already. You got Derek Browns here already. Then you got Clinton Childs, Damon Benning. Then you bring in Lawrence Phillips and Mon Green. He wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So what do? You go place where you play. So I understand them too. But guys who are red shirt who cause they didn't play the first year and really get upset, don't give it a chance and leave. That's what bothers me more.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand them wanting to say, hey, I want to play. And if they know they can't play, then go find some place to play. I can totally understand that. But
if you don't give it time, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of these kids are jumping ship so fast.
Right.
They don't want to compete for that position. They want it to be handed to them.
Because that's what it was. That's the way it was in high school. Even I was that way when I got here. Being all Parade All-American coming out of high school, not playing right away. In my mind, I started thinking about, man, I should have went to this school. I'm thinking about leaving.
Because when you were originally, fourth on the depth chart? You're a freshman?
Yeah, I was deeper than that. When you talk about, let's see, it was Mike Grant, Tony Veland, Brooke Behringer, and then you had Joel Cornwell.
Were you behind Brooke originally?
Yeah, I was behind Brooke. Oh. Then Jim McMillan. So I was sixth on the depth chart.
Jesus.
As a true freshman.
Yeah.
Which is one of those deals to where I came in and learned the system, and still, even my freshman year, Tony Veland was the starter.
Yeah, he broke a collarbone.
He broke a collarbone like 2 weeks before the season, and then that pushed me up to the number one job.
That worked out for him too.
Yeah, it worked out for him because he played. He won a Super Bowl. He played defense, played well, and that's all you can ask for. But that he could have been one of those players that once he realized that Tommie was going to be the quarterback, he could have transferred.
Yeah,
but he said nope. I'm going to stay in Nebraska. I can help in other areas. And became a hell of a player on defense.
Yeah, you got to admire people like that. I mean,
Zach Darlington is another great kid.
I was going to bring him up. Like Zach
Darlington, he actually threw a couple passes in the bowl game. Yeah. But it's one of those deals to where because you don't start where you are, there's other ways you can help the team. And don't pout. You came here for a reason. You didn't come here for football. You came here because of education and your teammates.
I guess that's true, too. It depends what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, and so no matter where you go, you're going to hurt your career. Because I've never seen anyone leave a school, a Division I school, transfer, and have success. Very rare you see that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
The only one I can think of right now offhand is Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma. When he, I think he was a walk-on at Texas Tech, and then he transferred to Oklahoma, and then they tried to stop his chance, and now look what he's doing.
Yeah, I was trying to think from Nebraska. The only person I can think of that left Nebraska more recently that left and had some success was Green.
Yeah, Aaron Green from TCU.
Yeah, was it TCU?
Yeah, he transferred Horned Frog.
Yeah,
and then Braylon Hurd had some success at Kentucky.
Yeah,
I think he was just more injury prone though. He had a lot of injuries, but when he played, he had some success.
He did pretty well.
But that's running back though. That's a running back position to where if you can run the football, and you got an offensive line that can block for you, you're gonna have success. Look at King Frazier at North Dakota State.
Yeah,
you
like that name?
I like the last name. I don't know if I call him King, but I like the last name.
Conflict of names there. Huh? Who's the king? Anyway, if I didn't say it, I didn't say it already. But this is Tommie Frazier, Husker Nation, and that is Tommie Frazier, and I am Dan Powers.
Everyone, Happy New Year's. Merry Christmas, everyone. I know we said it last week, but hey, it's 2017, the first show of 2017.
Yeah. I'm excited about this year, actually.
And what a great game to talk about. What do you mean? It's a great, Nebraska football is over with.
So I'll be completely honest. And I told you a little bit right before we started recording, but I actually didn't watch the whole game. I fell asleep during part of it. And then at the end of the game, wife wanted to go shopping. And I don't like going to shopping, but she wanted me to go to help her pick out something. And I actually left early. Mm-hmm. She was willing to wait, too. But the game was so boring. Despite the score. The score, if you look at the score, it actually would say something a little bit different. But that game was boring.
Yeah, the game was, it really lulled you to sleep. And, I was at a couple of adult establishments watching the game. I watched the first half. I watched the first quarter at one place, and I went and watched the rest of the game in another quarter.
Do women wear their clothes at adult establishment?
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking drinking adult stuff.
We're talking about where you get beverages and all that kind of stuff. No strip club or anything like that. No.
Not the Woodhouse.
No, none of that. And you can just tell by the vibe in a couple of those places to where people want Nebraska to do well, but they all say the same thing. We're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
But they want Nebraska to win, but they knew Nebraska would win the game, and just one of those deals to where when things go bad, they go bad. And I said it before, and I'm gonna go back on this. Rack of Five played a great game. He did, based on everything he had, based on everything that happened. He played better than a lot of people thought he was gonna play. But once again, go back to a lot of the balls they threw were deep balls down the field.
Yeah,
jump up. Guys made great catches before. The most disappointing thing, and I said it before the game, our line play is not very good.
Oh, it's bad.
And for all the Husker fans out there who are getting excited about Tanner O'Brien or Tanner Lee and Pat O'Brien being the quarterback because they can sling the ball down the field, or they're getting excited about these wide receivers that we have coming in here, that means nothing. Absolute zero if you don't have an offensive line that can protect or open block for the run. And we're going out, and then Nebraska right now is going out here signing all these skilled players on offense, skilled players on defense. If they don't go out and shore up their offensive line and their defensive line, I don't care how much talent you have on the outside or in the backfield or in the on the defense backfield, you're not going to win very many games in the Big Ten. And that's point blank. I know it's sound kind of harsh, but when you got one guy for Tennessee, and of course he's going to be a first-round draft pick, but still, who's making your best offensive lineman look like garbage, that is sad. That's real sad.
What did we do? Let's see. So we were at 28 for 61 running, which I think that alone tells the story.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, you basically only try to run the ball 28 times a game. 28 times. Because you couldn't do anything. We got to do better than that. What is that? 2.9 yards a rush?
Something like that, which actually is probably a little bit better than what we did half the season. The second half of the season, I think we were under 2 yards of rushing.
Yeah, but still, though.
It's horrible.
I watched teams versus Tennessee all year that ran the ball with success.
Well, aren't they ranked like 100 in the nation for run defense?
Yeah, and we only can manage 61 yards on them.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
I mean, not only the game wasn't good, and I think the only people who came to show up to really play was Riker Fife and Brandon Riley.
Yeah, those two are the only ones that really came to play. And I'm not going to say those two are the only ones really came to play because, there are some other guys who had
I'm sure there was others.
Games. But when you look at overall the whole game, Tennessee, this game should have been a lot worse than what it was. 38-24 is not indicative of how the game was played. Nebraska didn't show up, period. And offensively, they didn't show up, period. Offensive line didn't show up, period. And I'm gonna keep hounding on the offensive line. I'm gonna keep hounding on the defensive line because every top team that I look at, their offensive line, defensive line are very effective. And Alabama didn't play very well versus Washington.
Much closer than I thought.
Well, I thought it was going to be a better game, a closer game. People thought it was too.
Yeah.
But I just thought when Alabama needed to run the football, they ran the football. When they needed to stop the run, they stopped the run. And you can do those two things, you're going to win a lot of football games. That formula sounds familiar, doesn't it? Run the football, stop the run. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't matter how much you talking about the guy. You're talking about a team who's playing for the national championship.
Yep.
And look how many times they threw the ball down the field. But how many yards they have running, and how many yards they give up rushing. So that's to me that's the formula in college football. All this spread and all this. Now, I say that, but then you look at Clemson, who can spread you out. They also can run the ball and throw the ball.
Yeah.
But they have talent, they can do that. But they also have a defense that can stop the run and play the pass too. But when you look at Alabama, and then that's the blueprint. That's what everyone should be looking at. Why? Because they are the Kings right now until someone knocks them off the throne.
With the last 10 years.
Yes. They're going for 5 championships in 8 years.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. But they're consistent in what they do. They don't change. This is the third first-year quarterback they played with that have gone to a championship with.
It's crazy.
But what's the one consistent formula?
They protect them. They run the football.
They run the football, and they stop the run.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who they put back there running back. They run the football, and they stop the run. So that's the formula. It's not rocket science. I understand people want to say, well, we want to put we need to get NFL-style players because we want to put them in the NFL. I think Alabama has put them in the NFL. Maybe not a quarterback, but I think Julio Jones was the number 1 draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons from Alabama. I think Mark Henry was a running back for Alabama first round. I think Mark Ingram. Then you look at the offensive line. Then let's talk about the defense side of the ball. How many guys? They had 7 guys drafted last year in the first round. Alabama. That's unheard. That's
crazy.
That's the formula. You get there, they're gonna coach you to be NFL material. We're not doing that here. We're hoping, we're wishing that we get those Cowboy guys. When are we gonna say enough is enough and go out there because we want to win championships? Those are the teams we're gonna have to beat.
Yeah. Early in the season, there was a lot of hype and a lot of good talk about the recruits coming in. In the last few weeks, now you're hearing like, ooh, people are not going to sign, or there's a good chance we're not going to land the ones we thought we were going to land. And
I said it from the beginning of the year. Why are we recruiting so many wide receivers? Why are we recruiting so many DBs? Yeah. Why aren't we going after the defense and offensive linemen? Did I not say that?
I think those guys are looking at the same thing you are now, like saying, "Oh crap, how am I going to be successful?"
But it's too late now for recruiting. Now this is something that you got to jump on kids from the start. You can't wait till 2 weeks before signing day. Say, "Oh, we need offensive linemen." Perfect example. There's an offensive lineman in Lincoln. The kid wants to go 6'7", 280-some pounds. He wants to go to Lincoln. But guess what? They're overlooking him because they're hoping they get a kid out of Texas.
Yeah.
Well, you mean tell me you got a kid in your own backyard, can't play, but he's going to Wyoming, and I think Wyoming had a pretty good year this year.
And you know what he would give to that team?
He would give everything to the team.
Being the local kid,
we let so many of these local kids. Look at Noah Fant, the tight end from Omaha South last year.
Yeah.
He goes to Iowa and has a pretty good year. We got to start focusing on if Nebraska, get back to what Nebraska do, you keep the best players in your state. Every state is like this, even in Ohio, even in Iowa. Yep. You keep the best players in your state, then you go out and you add other players from other states to fill in. But if you can't keep the best offensive lineman in your state who grew up here, want to play here, then you're missing the boat. You are missing the boat.
Yeah.
And you get a product, and you get the product of what you saw of Nebraska in the bowl game.
I think a lot of people think that was just a one game and next year's a whole nother story.
No.
I do. No, I think that's what people think.
I'm gonna say this right now. Nebraska had a couple of good offensive linemen. They do. Don't get me wrong. But they don't have enough.
Dude,
they don't have enough.
They look bad. I mean, poor Riker Fife was trying.
He did all he could.
They couldn't run the ball at all. They just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, when you can't run the ball, what do you do? What is that defense is licking their chops now. They're licking their chops now because they say we made this team one-dimensional. So we know they're going to have to try to throw the ball against us. Now let's send the bloodhounds at them. Look at Alabama. They stopped Washington from running the ball, and what they do is okay. Let's give them 3rd and 7. Here we come.
Yeah,
here we come. Let's put the horns down. We're coming at you, and sack them 9 times. So build from offensive line, defensive line out. Because I don't care what kind of quarterback you have. You're not going to be successful if your offensive line stinks.
No, they got a lot of hype around Tanner Lee right now, which I hope he's the man and I hope he's great, but
he very well could be.
But if they don't.
But if they can't protect him, if they can't run the football to take the pressure off of him having to throw the ball 40 times a game, it's going to be trouble down there.
I would love to know what Riley's thinking, right? In his head, because, he knows the same thing. I mean, better than anybody.
I don't know if he knows it.
You don't think he knows?
I don't think he knows it. Because if he did, he'd be out there. I think he'd be trying to find an offensive lineman somewhere, or defensive lineman somewhere.
That could be. I'll tell you, and this might not be right to say, or this might not be true or not, but I think he wrote off this year from the beginning almost.
But you can't. But see, that's not fair. That's not fair to those players. That's not fair to the program. You got to.
And that might not be fair for me to even say, but.
You got to do the best job of what you have. But you can't run. You got to coach them the same way if they were your players from the start. Because you can't tell me there's no possible. You can't tell me that Urban Meyer, even though there was talent there, walked in there saying, you know what, I'm not going to coach these guys the best I can. I inherit this team, so I'm going to coach the best I can.
I'm sure he coached the best he could with what he had, but didn't it seem like he had players on the sideline that he could have played?
But what
redshirt freshman.
But here's what I'm getting at though. When Urban Meyer got to Ohio State, they were 6-6
and they went to a national championship.
Then 2 years later, they're in the national championship, and he only had 2 years recruiting.
Yeah.
So most of the players he played with were the same players they went 6-6 with. So what did he do? So he could have very easily say, "Oh no, we can't win here with these players." But guess what? He had confidence, and he put his system in there, and they won.
Yeah.
So it's all about putting your system in and having confidence in the player and teach them and mold them and winning.
Don't you think the caliber of talent between those two systems are very different, though? What Bo brought in here versus what Urban walked into.
Yeah, but you mean tell me what's the talent difference between Nebraska and Iowa?
That's fair too, right?
Well, I think everyone across the board think Nebraska has better talent than Iowa.
Yeah, but look what they did last year.
My point exactly. So
and they beat us this year.
If you go out there and implement and you force them to do things the right way all the time, it shouldn't matter with talent. For years they said Tom Osborne didn't have the best talent out there, but he consistently won.
Yeah.
So I don't use that talent stuff as a deal because I can look at the Big Ten across the board. Wisconsin doesn't have the best talent. but they have a system, and this guy's second year. They have a system, and they run their system, right? Northwestern doesn't have the best talent, and didn't they almost beat Ohio State in Columbus this year?
Very close.
Correct. Didn't they beat Nebraska a couple years ago?
Well, it's surprising what you could do when you have a team that works together and a good game plan.
Exactly. So that's why it bothers me, and I'm tired of hearing, well, these weren't his players. He had to wait for his players. No, they are his players. He's the head coach of them. Get them to play well. Get them to do what you want. Don't use that. Well, we cannot run our system. Well, you're a coach, so you're supposed to adjust to your players.
Yeah. Which I think they tried to do this year with Tommie.
And it goes to show you, without Tommie, this team didn't have a chance of winning the game.
Well, there's something happened Ohio State when that, and I know Tommie wasn't the whole thing. They were going to lose that game whether Tommie was in there or not. Yeah. But there was definitely something that happened during that game or before or the build-up to that game that changed the season. Before Ohio State, there was a little bit of swag that you started to see.
The loss to Wisconsin. Because they put all their eggs in that basket. If we win if we win this game here, we control our own destiny. We can lose 2 of the next day and still go to the Big Ten championship.
Do you think? No, I don't know if they'll ever say it out loud, but I'm willing to bet that you're probably right. They believe that was the game and their opportunity, and Ohio State was not. And if they beat Wisconsin, they control the destiny, and they're willing to accept the loss in Ohio State.
Yeah, because no one picked them to beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
correct.
I don't. Yeah, I think Riley even believed that.
Not anybody in America picked Nebraska to win Ohio State.
No one.
No one.
No.
And if they did, it means because they were betting people and they had the odds were so good in the area that they bet $100 and win $2,000.
I think you're right.
All I'm saying is that when they lost the game to Wisconsin the way they did,
it sucked the life out of them.
And
they no longer had a reason to play the rest of the year because they didn't have a chance to hit what they needed.
Because they knew they still had to go play Ohio State. They knew Wisconsin probably wasn't going to lose again. So now they're 2-2, and the toss-up game was Iowa, which you will know how that goes.
Yeah,
how that goes. Because even if
they won Iowa,
they were done.
They were done. They had to beat Ohio State at that point.
Yes,
or before. So
they had to either win Wisconsin and Iowa.
Yeah,
to even have a chance.
Yep.
Well, they had to win Wisconsin,
which makes sense
because they could have lost to Iowa and still won it because they beat Wisconsin head-to-head.
Yeah.
So they had to win the Wisconsin game.
When they lost Wisconsin,
it was over with for them.
Yeah. That would explain it because mentally something happened. After that game, the program fell apart. And that would explain it. Mentally, they were checked out. Emotionally, they were drained.
Then injuries started happening.
They did.
Injuries. I want to say they fell apart. I think a lot of the injuries to keep
Iowa, man. They played the way they played against Iowa. Even Maryland, they didn't do great. I mean, Maryland's not a good team. So they're
a bowl team, though. They went to a bowl.
Well,
that's if a team goes to a bowl with a 5 in the record, they did based on where Maryland was last year.
Actually, for a team like Maryland, that's probably a pretty decent success,
especially where they were last year.
I can tell you, Rutgers are going to be really happy if they get to a bowl next year.
Right, because it's the first year of a coach. So you find you didn't go to the bowl last year. Oh, well, guess what? We were 6-6. We got to the bowl. We're moving in the right direction. It's going to help recruiting. Look where we were last year. And we got to the bowl this year. We're a new coaching staff. Once again, with a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
So this season right here. In all, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say this. This was a successful season. And I know there's a lot of people say it wasn't successful because we did. No, people. Go back to last year. Where were they last year? 5-7. Where were they this year? 9-4. Last time I checked, 1 in 4 more games is successful. Now, we'll say, well, look who you beat. Well, you play
teams they lost to last year.
Yeah, and the thing is, you got to play you play your schedule. You can't control that Oregon was down this year. You can't control that. Oregon was a top 25 team when they came here.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, they were.
Look where Wyoming, how Wyoming ended the season. Okay, so you play your games on your schedule. Everyone always said Western Michigan. They went undefeated. Well, they didn't play anybody. Well, there's a lot of teams that didn't go undefeated.
Yeah,
versus their schedule. If you play 12 games, you win 12 games. No matter who you play against, you're saying something in Division I football. So this was a successful season. They won more than they lost.
Yeah, I would agree. It is successful, but I would also say, if I was being honest, I'm disappointed in the season.
You did. I'm not
because of just
how it ended.
Yeah,
how it ended. Losing 3 out of 5. Losing 3 out of 5.
It's disappointing because this is a team that. I think So I know people are bitching about Riley and saying different things. I think with what he had overall, and yeah, I think he could have pulled some players, or they could have did some things differently, but that's me being a sideline. I don't know. He knows better than I do. But for what he had, I think he figured out a way to rally this team early on.
Right.
And they played very well, and they probably had an emotional limit. And that Wisconsin thing, as you said, that probably broke them, because after that, they were done.
I think it's been the coaches, too, because the coaches put so much. I'm telling you, these coaches knew, these players knew, the one game that they had to win was Wisconsin.
And that was known pretty early on.
That was known pretty early on. Wisconsin had already lost 2 games.
Yeah.
So they had to win Wisconsin. They knew they weren't going to beat Ohio State.
I mean, this is the Bad News Bears, right? Like, this is a team that is put together, and they're not the team you expected to be great. No one expected this team to be good this year.
We said they're going to lose, we said 3 to 4 games this year. Start the season, though. I said they'll lose 3 to 4 games
I actually thought it would be even more.
I thought it was going to be more. But if you go back to our first show, I said Nebraska probably 9-3, 9-10-4, 10-3, 9-4.
Yeah.
They're going to lose 3 to 4 games this year. And they did. Now, the game I thought they was going to lose to Oregon earlier in the season, but they won the game. Yeah. I thought maybe they'd beat Wisconsin or Iowa. I knew they weren't going to win both of those games, but I thought they'd win one of those. And I knew they weren't going to beat Ohio State. I knew that.
I actually thought after Wisconsin we had a slight chance.
To beat Ohio State?
I did at that time, because Ohio State hadn't really impressed that great.
But guess what? This was their opportunity, because of the top 10 showdown at home, prime time.
Yeah. And
they hadn't played well the last couple of weeks, so now.
And they were mentally stronger than us.
Yeah. And they went out and they proved it. So that the season turned out the way I thought it was going to turn out. Now, I didn't picture them losing 3 out of the last 5.
Yeah.
Or 4 out of the last 6. But it happens. Injuries play a part of that.
That was big.
I thought they probably would have showed up better if Tommie was 100% at Iowa. They probably would have played a little bit closer to Tennessee if Tommie was healthy. And it goes back to show you, everyone wants to blame Tommie for all the things. You saw that he was the piece of the puzzle that made this team go.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do next year when you don't have him here? When you got a guy who sits in the pocket back there and throwing and he getting teed off on because he can't make things happen with his legs. Well, you better have an offensive line. You better have an offensive line. To be able to run the ball takes some of the pressure off of him.
Yeah.
And that's my theme going to be in the offense this whole offseason. Where the offensive line they're recruiting. I don't care about wide receivers. I don't care about DBs. Where the offensive linemen. Where the offensive line. Where the defensive linemen. Because you can make a team one-dimensional on defense. You can predict what they're going to do in the passing game. But if they run the ball on you, they open up the whole game plan. And offensively, if you have to throw the ball 40 times a game, you're not going to win it. You're not going to win a game. I don't care who you are. You're not going to win it.
Well, the teams that I know that I can think of that play that kind of football have not been. They've had a little bit of success, but overall they have not been successful, right?
Yeah. Well, people say, well, Oregon did it. Yeah, but Oregon's passing game was 3 yards down the field and get the ball to skill play and let them go. Well, 3-yard pass was like
has some decent running backs too.
Runs, yes.
But you look remember Texas Tech, right?
Yeah.
Like they just want to fire up the sky, and they went crazy there for a few years.
They went crazy, but did they win championships? No, you don't win championships playing that style of ball. You don't. I don't care who you are. You don't win championships by throwing the ball up and down the field.
Yeah.
You might get there, but you're not going to win it. Why? Because those teams who get in championship, they know how to stop that. It's no difference when in 1996, the Fiesta Bowl. Florida, that's why they did. What it was the fun and gun. They threw the ball up and down the field. Okay, fine. You're going to throw the ball, but you're not going to run the ball against us. And it made them one-dimensional. And what did we do after that? We predicted when they were going to throw the ball. We sacked them how many times that game?
I don't remember. I was drunk.
And he threw how many? I think he threw 3 interceptions. And so that's what I'm getting at. Those teams usually don't win. Then the next year, what did Florida do? Oh, we better run the ball. Yeah, we better run the ball. So it changed. They still threw the ball, but they ran the ball a lot more and was successful, and they won a championship. So there's a form. The formula is there. It's not going to change. The team that can run the football, usually the one is going to win a championship.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. At least Riley's he made some changes on the coaching staff. He's making some adjustments. I think he almost had to.
What change did he make? Just one guy?
Yeah, but now but they're changing up positions, right? Now coaches are going to take on different roles or slightly different roles.
Just one guy?
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, they made one guy. And he's good. He's a great recruiter from out here, but does that mean he's going to make an impact? There's still people. People don't realize you can go out there and sign a guy who can get the best linebacker in the country out there, the best cornerback, the best safety. Where are the top defensive ends, defensive tackles, nose tackles? Where are those on the board? And I know we got some young guys who they have potential.
Yeah.
But you got to have more than just two. Just imagine we had Malik Collins and Valentine this year.
Yeah.
We got the Davis twins backing them up. That's pretty good rotation there. But when those two guys left, wait a minute. Whoa. Now we got to force these young guys into the play. And they did some good things this year. And they're going to get better. But we don't have much behind them. Where's the competition? And that's what I'm getting at. Where's the competition on those units?
It seems like that's all over the place almost, though. Outside of wide receiver, there's depth problems everywhere.
The best teams compete against each other.
I mean, it was like what we talked about between no disrespect to Riker Fife, but the distance or the gap between Tommie and Riker.
It was huge.
Wow.
It was huge.
And if it's like that throughout the team, we're in trouble.
Yeah, so where's the competition?
And we're losing some guys this year.
And we're losing a lot of guys. And I keep going back to Alabama because that's the king. When a couple of their guys went down on the defensive line, they just put two more guys in there and did the play fall off? No. But as a matter of fact, probably those two guys that came in were probably better than the ones. They probably just made a little bit more, a couple more mistakes. That's why they're the number two guy. But look at the secondary. They just adjust guys in the secondary, and they played in the guy that they lost the best player in the team to a knee injury early, and the defense played better without him. Because there's competition. They compete in practice. Those players hold each other accountable.
That's what competition drives, right?
And
it drives all that.
I don't see that at Nebraska. I don't.
The gap's too big.
And I'm saying this from afar. Well, I can just look by how they play. You know, people can talk and say, oh, this or that, but they're not holding each other accountable. Yeah. Because if you hold each other accountable, how in the world do you not know Nate Gear is not going to class?
That's crazy.
So if he was truly a big brother, you learn a lot from him. Obviously, you learn the wrong things from him. Because if he's not going to class, someone should have been on that. You know if your teammate's not going to class or not.
Well, don't they have people on staff to manage that too?
Yeah.
Let alone your own teammate?
Yeah.
What would have happened if you didn't go to class?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's back when they had, what was it?
The unit council.
Yeah, the council back then.
If you didn't go to class, you heard it from your teammates. You heard it from your teammates because your teammates knew. And I don't care if you was a senior, you're going to your last year, you still had to go to class because you still got a bowl game to play.
You ever get called into the unity council?
I was part of the unit council. I probably got called. You know, you usually don't get called into the unit council until you get like 3 points. Oh. And so, you know, but every week you go without getting a point, and you get a point taken away.
I got you.
So I never really was called in front of the unit council, but we did have people who get called because they missed 3 classes and come like, hey, come on now. And then they go one more, then they get a point taken off, and they miss again. So
I love that.
But we policed ourselves.
But it goes back to the beginning. These guys are coming in. They're looking for themselves to transfer in. They want to go to the NFL. I want to play. They're so worried about the individual. And you know, in fairness, you know, who knows what'll happen? But Keyshawn Johnson Jr. At least what we see him right now, and the way he's talking on Twitter and everything, he seems like he's trying to be a team player and rally. Now that might all fall apart, but
I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is a California kid. I was a Florida kid. Okay? It's all fun and dandy and fun and gravy until you get here and you don't have your family around. And you're here by yourself. Yeah. And you get homesick and you can't call mommy or you can't call daddy and hey, I need this. And
the weather's beating you up.
And the weather's beating you up. It's good because it's good with the energy they have now because they're excited.
Yeah.
They're going off to college, coming to the University of Nebraska. But what happens when those days get tough to where you have a bad practice?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Your mind starts churning. You go back to, man, I wish I was back home in California when it's 60 degrees right now instead of 25 degrees. All that stuff's going to start weighing on them. Of course they're excited because, hey, I'm going to Nebraska, we have an opportunity to make a change. But if he comes here and don't play right away,
yeah,
what's going to happen?
Yeah, he might not last.
He might not. So I'm not saying I'm just using him as an example.
No, it's a great example. I know people that from Omaha got full ride scholarship to Lincoln, and a month later they came back home.
Yeah.
And that's in the same weather, the same district, and they said, no way.
Because it was too much for them.
Yeah.
They were out of their comfort zone.
I mean, we'd send kids away to college. I mean, you think it's not just education, but they're all of a sudden you got to figure out how to live. Mm-hmm. And you've not been really taught that right. If you haven't been brought up the right,
even being brought up the right way, it's still
you're new.
You're still out on your own.
I really got to cook this myself.
Yeah, you're still out on your own.
Yeah.
You don't have your parents to really come go there and bail you out. Like they still can bail you about saving you money here.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, well, Mom, I need this. Oh, I'll bring it to you. I love my shoes. I love my shoes at home. Can you bring them to me? No. If you leave your shoes at home, you better go back and get them yourself.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff like that from the matter of living outside your comfort zone. That's why when it comes to freshmen, that's why it's always good if they can redshirt. Because it's not always about football you're trying to adapt to. You're trying to adapt to being by yourself, having to make decisions on your own, having to cook for yourself when the training table's not open, having to go buy your own toiletries, having to go buy your own clothes. I mean, it's all that stuff that falls into place. Having to get yourself up in the morning. You don't have your mother say, okay, it's time to get up and go to school. Yeah. You don't have that anymore. And the coaches aren't going to do it most of the time. Hey, you're an adult. You're supposed to be responsible for yourself. So that's why I tell people. That's why I tell people, freshmen are very fickle. Of course, they can get employment. And the ones that play, a little bit easier because at least they got football to take them out.
They got some structure. Or something to keep them busy.
But when you're not playing, and the football team's in Columbus, Ohio, and you stuck here because you didn't travel because you redshirting, there's a whole lot that goes on in your mind.
Yeah. Do they let red shirts travel to the bowl games?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole team travels if you're not suspended.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
No, because they still got to go down and practice, so they still practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just didn't know if they let them travel for that. I would assume, but
they let them travel, but they don't dress. They don't dress. I think
they don't typically travel for regular games, though.
No. Away games, you don't allow so many people. I think it's like 78 in conference, with like the 80-something out of 85 out of conference. So it's the conference rule how many you can travel. But there's one game in the conference you can travel all your seniors.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So it could put you over the limit, but you get one game you can travel all your seniors to a away game.
That's kind of cool for the seniors.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just telling you, when it comes to recruiting, it comes to these guys, these young freshmen, they're excited. They're on Twitter. Oh, yes, we're about to make things change different, all that kind of stuff. I love the energy.
Yeah.
But once they step on this campus and realize, you know what? I'm not that big kid on campus. I'm not a big man on campus anymore. That guy's just as good as I am.
Well, yeah. With Keyshawn, it will, despite his dad, despite his name, despite everything, you're absolutely right. As soon as he gets on campus, it will be what have you done on the field?
Yeah.
In this state,
sure. I don't care what you did in Texas, on California. Okay?
Yeah, for
Tanner
sure.
Lee, I don't care what you did at Tulane. O'Brien, I don't care what you did in California.
In fact, Keyshawn will probably get murdered worse than anybody if he goes out there early on and is not successful.
I don't think so.
Don't think so?
Mm-mm. I think he'll get murdered more if his dad starts chirping. I think if his dad just sits back and let his son
could be really bad.
Make his own way, because no one expects for him to come in and just dominate college football right away.
No,
I haven't seen, because there's only in my time, there's really only one freshman, two freshmen I've seen come in and dominate college football the way Keyshawn Johnson did it. Okay, that's Amir Cooper, from Alabama, and it's that Mike Williams kid from Clemson. Those are the only two guys I've seen this day and age that has come in as a freshman and dominate talent. Outside of that, it's a process.
That's a fair statement, and you're right. And I would assume, since Keyshawn has some loyalty and with Riley, I would assume he would taper that off. But he likes to talk too.
Yeah, everyone likes to talk. Everyone sit back until things don't go the way they want it to go. And I know Keyshawn. I'm not saying Keyshawn gonna be that type of dad, because I think he wants to let his kid have his own way. But I just notice sometimes when you have a dad, and I've seen it from other pro guys whose son, when the son don't have, they start talking for the kid. And I'm a firm believer, let your kid make their own path. You be there to support them and go from there. But it's not always what your kids tell you what's going on. And I still go back to the day when I was coaching at Baylor, and I had this stud running back from Texas, from Houston. And a great athlete, stud. I mean, he actually looked like Eddie George. I mean, same complexion, build, and all that kind of stuff, and run, big strong kid. but he was making too many mistakes in practice. And so one day, he'll go call his dad, why I'm not playing, and all kind of stuff, and this and that. And we had I had one rule, and my staff had one rule. We will not talk about playing time, but we'll talk about education and how your son is coping off the field. But when it comes to playing time, we'll not talk about it.
With the parents, you're talking about? Yeah, okay.
With the parents. And so, but we always let the kids know the reason why they're not doing it.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, he was the best player I had. But being the best player doesn't necessarily mean he's the best player on the field at the time.
Yeah.
So I told his dad one day, call and say, hey, I say, you know what, Mr. Such and Such? Say, if you really want to see why your son's not playing on Saturdays, why don't you just come down to the practice, and in our offices, we practice in the stadium most of the time, so you can sit in one of the offices.
That's really before they did a lot of the build-up.
Yes, this like before they even did the stadium we play in now. And so he came down one day, and he called me and let me know. I said, my office is open. Just go to my office, and we practice on it. We'll be in this corner right here, and just watch. And don't say anything. And I'm not going to say, just watch. And after practice, he called me and said, thank you, Coach Frazier. I said, why? He said, he's not ready to be playing. I say, do you think where we are, I'm going to have the best player sitting on the bench if he's ready to play? No. But if he's not better than the guy we have playing, then why? So that's what. So the story is that, Dad, stay out of it, because your kids only gonna tell you what they think is going on, what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Parents, stay out of it.
And that's true for any situation. I know when I needed something and I wanted to change a situation, I would only tell my mom, the story that I wanted her to know, right?
Exactly.
That's how kids are.
But it's recruiting season though, so I mean, this is gonna make this year. It's going to be pivotal for Nebraska. It's going to be pivotal this year, too.
Yeah.
These are the guys that they recruited from the start to the finish. How many of those guys can you lock in?
We'll see a little bit different system, and
I'm afraid of that.
What's that?
I'm afraid of that.
Yeah. I am now, too.
Defensively, deep change system, I can understand it.
Yeah.
Offensively, this would be the fourth system these kids have had in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's for the ones that are coming back.
You see Tim Beck's going somewhere?
Texas?
Yeah. I didn't mean to change the subject. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
You said offense. Yeah.
But once again, he's a heck of a recruiter. He knows the Texas. He used to be a high school coach in Texas. So he knows it.
Off he goes.
And it's kind of funny how he goes to a school, he goes and coach with a guy whose job he took over at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And the guy hired him to be his offensive coordinator. So So obviously Tim Beck, there's something about Tim Beck that people see in him.
Well,
and he didn't do bad here.
No, Urban Meyer is not good. I mean, he's top-notch program. He's not. Yeah. There's something. I know Nebraska fans didn't like him.
He did good things. Sometimes he became too predictable. Obviously, I think in that whole deal, I think he had his hands tied. We're having to play Taylor Martinez.
He wasn't an offensive coordinator before he came here, though, right?
I think he was a co-offensive coordinator at Kansas when they went to the Orange Bowl. And then they brought him here. Then I think when
he's got a lot more experience now than he did.
But then when Sean Watson left, that's when they promoted him to offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Sean
Watson was a coordinator. Him. And then that's when they promoted him to offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But once again, Tim Beck, you get what you get, but he still has been successful. How many games have they lost at Ohio State since he's been offensive coordinator? 3?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, very few.
3 or 4?
You count less than one. Yeah, one hand.
Yeah. So obviously they're doing something. Now, the game they lose, they don't look very good.
God damn, I love that game too. Like, part of me wanted them to win just for the Big Ten sake, right. But in the same sense, I'm so tired of hearing about Urban Meyer and
part
Ohio
of me.
State.
Part of me wanted them to win. I wanted Clemson to win all the way.
I love that game. So the bad thing is I watched all that game.
I did too.
I couldn't watch Nebraska. I was struggling to watch that game, but I watched all that game. I was like, oh my god,
you know why?
Get the shutout.
You know why? Because you want to see the shutout, and plus it's again who's going to go to the championship.
Yeah. Oh, and they look great. And when you see a team perform like Clemson, you're like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like everybody watch. I don't watch NBA very much.
Neither do I.
But I actually watched quite a few games when back when Jordan came back and Rodman was on the team and everything. Like, there's something about when you can watch something that is unique and they play at that level. You're like, I can't. It's hard not to watch it.
You have to because you're watching greatness. When you got to watch two great teams out there performing, and one team dominates the way they did. It was a ass kicking. And I was
Barrett
at home.
had nowhere to go. He was getting mobbed.
I was at home just with a smile on my face. And the Clemson DB who said, "Hey, he's not a great quarterback. We face better quarterbacks than him."
Yeah.
He was right.
Dude, they mobbed him. They were all over him.
It wasn't no disrespect.
No,
he was right. Look at the team. Look at the quarterbacks they played against. When you're talking about the kid who was supposed to be the first quarterback.
Louisville?
The kid who's supposed to be the first quarterback drafted out of North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was better than Barrett. Then you look at the kid from Louisville.
Yeah.
Then you look at the kid from Florida State.
Barrett's not really that. At least this year, he hasn't been impressive at all.
He was his successful years when he had talent. When he had
No, he's not a senior, is he?
No, he's a junior.
So
he can come back.
He can come back, and then they got that kid from Nebraska that Nebraska was recruiting. That didn't they? We lost the recruit, and he went to Ohio State, or did we pass on him?
That I don't know.
I think we passed on him, and he went.
Yeah, it's like a kid's son, a former player's son.
Yeah, something like that. We pass on him, and then Ohio State ended up grabbing him.
Right.
I think it's something of that nature. So
that sounds familiar. Nebraska passed on a kid. He goes to our competitive, and they actually see that's.
Yeah.
We need to start taking chances on the kids on former players' kids.
Yeah.
And local kids. Stop trying to recruit against the Alabama, because that's not how you win. Iowa's not doing it. Wisconsin's not doing it.
No.
Wisconsin, I mean, if you look at the offensive line, 90% of the offensive lines from the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, they developed that there, right?
They develop offensive linemen.
Yeah.
We're not doing that here. We're trying to go get the big and the best out there, and then they don't pan out. Then, okay, back to the drawing board.
So who do you think is going to win the national championship game?
Clemson.
So I would have argued with you before I seen that game, and now I'm like, holy shit! I think Clemson's going to win that too.
I felt Clemson should have won last year with that onside kick turned the game around.
Yeah,
it turned the game around last year. But Clemson was battling neck and neck, and Nick Saban pulled a driver out of his hat, and they went down and scored and took the lead, and Clemson went back and forth battling scoring. But
it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game, but I want Clemson to win it, and not because I don't care about the people say you just don't like Alabama. No, I'm actually a fan of Clemson.
Was it? And you were. Growing up, you were kind of a fan of Alabama, weren't you?
No.
Who were you a fan of growing up?
No, I was a fan of Syracuse.
Oh.
Yeah, I was a fan of Syracuse. I was a fan of...
I knew it wasn't a big Florida team. You were in a Florida...
The only reason I root for Alabama because my dad's from Alabama.
That's what you told me.
My dad's born in Alabama. He's a road tide.
Well, whether Alabama wins this or not, they're going to go down one of the greatest teams.
Rightfully so.
Dynasty ever. Nick Saban's probably the greatest coach ever.
I wouldn't say probably the greatest coach. Because you talking about better than Bear Bryant. You talking about...
Well, he's about to... If he wins this, doesn't he tie Bear Bryant?
Yeah, I think he tied, but still, though...
But he's still...
Doing what Bear Bryant did in those days back then.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Without the talent, the level, with all the racism.
Without the whole system and everything. Yeah. Still, he's one.
But modern day best coach.
Wow. Yeah.
Modern day best coach.
So kudos to him. It should be a good game. Before we go away, anybody looking at some of these names I was looking at the scoreboard here. Anybody you can think of offhand you're going to really miss? We're going to lose it. There's a bunch of seniors we're losing. It seems like.
I think you're going to miss Ivy.
I
think you're gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him because I like
Ivy.
I like the way he played. You're gonna miss Tommie. People don't think you're gonna miss Tommie.
I think we'll miss Tommie and Jordan. Those two together had a good chemistry.
You're gonna miss Westcamp. You won't miss Riley because Riley came on late.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss Ethan Carter.
And in fairness,
I think he was on the used. You're gonna miss him.
I don't think anybody appreciates what his talent level.
Yeah, because they never utilize him.
Yeah,
he's gonna be one of those kids who's gonna have a better NFL career than he did college career.
Yeah,
because
the system didn't.
The system didn't work for him. Did not work for him.
I bet no one would say this, but and it's not that I'll miss him, but Newbie, right? Not that he was the most dynamic back, but he was consistent all year.
He got better. And he got better, and he was consistent. Now, late in the season, here's a problem that I have with running backs, and we can leave on this. They got to find a guy, one guy, and go with him, and then maybe let's back up. But playing 3 and 4 guys in a game, how can you get a rhythm as a running back? You can't. And I talked with many guys about this. I talked with Damon Ben. I even talked with my younger brother, who was a running back in college, and he coached running backs in high school for a while. And that's the one most consistent thing to say. They always said that if you got a guy who's not carrying the ball 15, 20 times a game, you're not going to have a very productive running game. You're not.
Yeah.
But so you got to find a guy that can carry the ball 15, 20 times a game and then spell him.
And none of them carried the ball 15 times a game.
No, 7. You got one guy carrying it 7 times. You got one guy carrying it 6 times. You got one carrying it 9 times.
Wilbon in there.
You got it for one
carry.
One carry. And you got 4 guys trying to carry the ball. Then on top of the quarterback trying to carry the ball.
And Carter carried the ball once.
Yeah. So I mean, you gotta find a running back to do it, and hopefully Trey Bryant is the guy. Hopefully he's the guy. That's why they brought him in here for him to take over. Yeah. That's why they played him last year, for him to take over. And quite frankly, I thought maybe he could have redshirted to gain that extra year. You just learn the game because you play you on kickoff return, but you don't play him much in the backfield.
Yeah, that's true. He was one of the guys, actually. I said I thought he redshirted people he could have played, but he's one guy we probably could redshirt.
Right. I
mean, you already had Wilbon out there. You already had Ozigbo and Newby.
Yeah, so you got 3 guys right there. So running backs, you got to find a go-to guy. You have to. You got to find a main guy.
Yeah.
And go from this running back by committee stuff that they're doing down there. It's not going to work anymore because it hadn't worked.
It didn't work this year.
It didn't work.
No. Hey, Newby did play. No.
How many carries did he get?
9.
So, and he's supposed to be your best back.
9.
But versus Tennessee, they don't care who your back was. If your offensive line and block, you weren't gonna get many yards anyway.
Yeah.
I've said it from day one that our offensive line next year, and for what they're trying to do with this offensive line, that's all you can say.
That's like not even words, or just noise. And
I know people are gonna say, "Well, Tommie said this." People, I'm just looking at what I see on the football field.
No, it's just.
And for anyone who say they're encouraged with our offensive line based off who they played against Tennessee, and they're encouraged about our offensive line next year, they're fooling themselves. I understand having hope and loyalty. I have hope and loyalty too, but I also understand the fact. I understand X's and O's, and what I saw X's and O's look like a whole bunch of Jimmys and Joes.
Well, I can't stand when people, and I know we're running now, starting real long, but I can't stand when people say you're not a fan or you're a bandwagon fan or you're this or that. When you say something negative, I'm not saying nothing negative. I don't think we're saying nothing negative. I think it's the truth. I'm disappointed in how the season ended. I will still buy 2 more Husker hoodies in the next year and a dozen T-shirts and buy tickets to the games.
And I'm going to have my Nebraska N on and all that kind of stuff. I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
But we still can be objective to what's going on. We don't have to be one riding on horse. Oh, they're going to be okay. Like you hear a lot. Oh, they're going to be okay. They're doing right. Oh, offensive line, they're doing. No, people, that's not who I am. We're doing this show we talk about the good and we're going to talk about the bad. And sometimes the bad outweighs the good.
But this time a year ago, or even 2 years ago, it was much worse.
Yes, it was a lot worse.
Every year for the last couple of years, we've ended this. We go into the new year, and it's been more. There's been something positive, and it's been on a better note at least.
But think about it. Every year until Nebraska wins the Big Ten championship, or even compete for again, people are going to be critical.
Oh, yeah.
People will be critical. Because Nebraska could have went to the Big Ten championship game this year, and people say, well, they went to, but look how they played in it, though. It's a stepping stone, people.
Yeah.
How many times has Nebraska played in the Big Ten championship game since they've been part of the Big Ten? I can count twice.
Has it been twice?
I can count twice. I think twice.
Oh, yeah.
No, once.
Once, I thought.
Once.
With Bo. Yeah.
And how did they play in that game?
We got stomped. But we got there.
We got there, but still, though.
Well, I think out of anything today, what I took away is I think you make me feel a little bit better. You made me feel a little bit better about the end of the season because I really didn't think about the build-up and everything they put into that Wisconsin game. Mm-hmm. And that totally makes sense now. So I feel a little better about the end of the season. I'm still disappointed, but I still...
It's okay to be disappointed, but overall and all... I think that when we go back, their sales were broken. The win was released out of their sales when they lost to Wisconsin because they put everything, all the chips in that one basket. If they'd have won that game, it would have been a different season.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because they'd have been playing for the Big Ten championship.
I think
based off the way the season losing 2 of the last.
I don't think we lost Iowa.
Even if we did, they still would have been playing the Big Ten championship because they had 2 losses like Wisconsin, but they would have had to head over Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so you get the Big Ten championship. Now anything can happen. As you saw, Penn State, Wisconsin.
Yeah, Penn State.
That was a great game.
I was tied up. I didn't get to see it. I seen the highlights. But
no, that was a great
everybody
game.
said
that was a great game.
Like,
that was the best game of the bowl system season so far.
Yeah, everybody Yeah.
Two powerhouses going at
They
each other.
went at it. And
They went
scored
at it,
and scored and scored and like.
Then that was a great game. That was one game I actually sat and watched the whole thing of. You know, I'm getting old. I've been falling asleep early lately.
Wow. I fall asleep early, but I get up real early.
Yeah, I do too. I'm usually about 3:34.
Oh.
My eyes just open up. And it's like no matter what day it is, I'm open up. Oh, damn, it's just 3:30.
Yeah.
Shit, go back to sleep. Oh, I can't. Okay, let's watch Law and Order SVU.
I can't go back to sleep either. Once I wake up, my eyes open, I'm up.
So once I'm up, I turn it right TNT and watch the SVU, Law and Order.
I've never seen Law and Order.
Oh, SVU? Oh, that's my favorite one.
You should talk to April. She loves those shows.
Oh, I do too. I watch them all. I watch
the.
They can have them, or NCIS.
Yeah, oh, she loves NCIS. So she went to what was it? That '90s concert in town, and she got an opportunity to go backstage, and she's standing next to a guy, standing next to Coolio, but she's like, and they said, you want to take a picture with Coolio? She's like, that's not Coolio. I don't want, that's a fake Coolio. That's not a knockoff. So she gets an opportunity, and her friend, the person she's with, takes the picture anyway. April's like, I'm not wasting my time, right? And she's paying attention and watching. Vanilla Ice, of course, is on stage now.
The lip syncer?
Yeah, the lip syncer. He's on stage doing whatever. He's Ice baby. So she comes home and she tells me about Coolio, and he's just a look-alike and all that. And then I see the picture. I'm like, no, that is Coolio. She's like, no, Coolio is on NCIS, and that's not Coolio. Like, that guy is totally different looking. I'm like, she thought it was LL Cool J. I'm like, he totally. I'm like, how do you confuse LL Cool J and Coolio?
All black guys look alike.
Dude, you said it, but they don't look nothing alike.
They don't look anything
They're not even
alike.
the same shade of black.
They don't look anything alike.
No. Like, she had an opportunity, and she'd be like, no, don't waste my time.
Oh, she's going to regret it. She's going to regret it.
Got a chance to meet Coolio. All right, anyway. All right, let's end this thing.
Till next time, people.
You can always go over to touchdowntommy.com, Facebook /touchdowntommy, Twitter /touchdowntommy. Are you on Pinterest yet?
Nope. We'll always be on Pinterest. Also, people, the Tommie Frazier line is out. I think we posted it on my Twitter account. Go out there, and we'll post it out there again. We'll post it out on the Facebook. Go out there and order some clothes, because 15% of all sales go to the Tommie Frazier Foundation, which help kids be able to afford to play youth sports. So we help them with dues and fees, and we'll also help them get equipment if they need it.
Where's that? Is that usually local? More local? Or?
It's starting off local, but then after a couple of years, we're going to push it nationally. You know, I want to take care of the local kids first, and then we'll push it nationally.
It's a good cause.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, sports do so much for kids.
Get them out of the environment, usually out of the environment that they're in. So it got me out of my environment that I was living in, and got a lot of these other kids out of the environment. So let's go out here and purchase some Tommie Frazier apparel, and then let's help as many kids we can get out of the situation they can.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, till next time, people.
Till next week.
Next week, hey, we can talk recruiting. We can talk national championships.
Oh,
you know, so
that's a good game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
So we're gonna evolve into other sports after this. So
the 9th. When is that? The 9th?
The 9th, next Monday.
All right.
So we'll probably here Tuesday.
All right. Sounds good.
All righty.